ララ、みかんがもうじき晩飯だって。
うん、すぐ行く。
相変わらず散らかってんな。
おかしいな。なんでうまくいかなかったんだろう。でもそんな大した話じゃないよ。王宮での暮らしがつまんなかったから自分で楽しくしようと思っただけ。大戦が終わって平和になったから勉強ばっかりやらされてたし。あら、リトさんの話し声が？まさかリト。
ララ。
ないか。ある意味ナナよりお子様だものね、お姉様。
Source: To Love Rue. Welcome back to AniRecapz. Like and subscribe so you never miss our quality uploads. The story begins with a mysterious girl being chased in space. Just as she is about to be captured, she manages to escape. Meanwhile, on Earth, at Seinen High School, a boy named Yuki Rito plans on confessing to the girl of his dreams, Serenji Haruna. But he's quite shy about how to approach her, and whenever he tries to tell her how he feels about her, something inconvenient happens and gets in his way. After school, as Haruna is about to walk past him, just when he is about to confess to her, the spaceship from earlier crash lands right where he is standing and nearly crushes him. Rito returns home sulking over yet another failure to confess. He goes to his room and talks on the phone with his best friend Sariyama Kenichi, who understands him well and is not surprised by another failure. Sariyama advises him to learn to get used to being around girls. Rito continues to sulk in the bathtub. Suddenly, the mysterious girl from before appears in front of him naked, and he accidentally grabs her cute melons. In his room, the girl introduces herself as Lala Sadalin Deviluk, who is an alien from the planet Deviluk. She explains that she used an invention she made to randomly teleport into the tub he was in because she is being pursued. Her companion robot, Peak, arrives and reunites with her. Suddenly, Mole and Smuts, the ones who pursued Lala, come into the room, having followed Peak. Rito reluctantly helps Lala escape over the rooftops. As they get to the normal ground, the men from before catch up to them. Then, a huge spaceship appears and a man with Dio's voice named Zastin emerges from it. It's then revealed that she is actually a princess running away from home because her father always arranges meetings for a suitor for her to marry. Dio and his two men arrive to take her home. Lala then gets a cell phone-like device out and summons another invention of hers called Go-Go Vacuum, a giant octopus-like machine that she uses to suck Zastin. And the others, however, it continues to suck in everything else, including Rito, and Lala doesn't remember how to shut it off. As Rito gets sucked halfway in, the machine gets clogged up and suddenly explodes. The next day, Rito is frustrated over what happened last night because of Lala and doesn't want anything to do with her again. On his way to school, he meets up with Haruna. Rito thinks it's a good opportunity to confess to her, which he finally does, but he shyly confessed with his eyes closed and accidentally says it to Lala, who coincidentally appears in front of him. Rito has yet again made another epic failure to confess to the girl he truly loves. Lala, however, is happy to hear this and hugs him, saying they are now engaged to be married. Much to his dismay, thus Rito's love troubles are just beginning. At the Yuki residence, Rito wakes up only to find Lala sleeping naked next to him and falls off his bed in shock. Lala also wakes up as if it was normal, but Rito is angered and asks why she was naked in his bed. She simply says that she just wanted to sleep next to him, and Pete tells him that it's hard to stay in her costume all the time. Rito's little sister Mikan walks into his room and sees the naked girl. Unfazed by it, she leaves the room normally but probably had the wrong idea. Rito is disappointed at the fact that another misunderstanding has occurred. Peak then transforms into Lala's dress form for her to wear. Rito asks her what is she doing in his house to begin with. She explains that it's normal for people that are engaged to live together, although Rito doesn't recall any sort of proposal. Then Zastin, I meant Dio, suddenly swats in from the window and explains, according to Devoluke tradition, MC became engaged to Lala through official procedures, which was when he touched her breasts at 8:43 a.m. and confessed to her in the previous episode, apparently accident. MC tries to explain that it was a misunderstanding, but Zastin angrily denies it, saying that by touching Lala's breasts, who is a princess, when he doesn't even like her, would mean declaring war on the planet Devoluke, and Lala's dad, who is king on their planet and also the emperor of the galaxy, would destroy the planet Earth, putting Rito in a difficult situation. Zastin also explains that by marrying Lala would mean that Rito will take her dad's position as king, and that it's not a position for weaklings, and naturally tells him good luck, but it's too much for him to take at once. At his school, Seinen High, Rito meets up with his friend Sariyama, who notices that he's feeling depressed and thinks that Haruna might be involved, which so happens that she is coming their way. She notices Rito but looks away from him, hinting to them that she might mad at MC. After class, he tries to explain to her what happened but follows her to the girls' changing room, which cannot go into. Elsewhere, Lala appears walking around the school looking for Rito, who has also gained the attention of other students, especially boys. Rito hears and comes asking her what is she doing in school. She answers that she was curious as to what school was like. Sariyama and some other boys noticed how close they are and ask Rito what is his relationship with her. Lala tells them that she is his bride. This response greatly shocks the boys. Jealous and enraged boys start chasing after him. He runs into a dead end but tells Lala to use her Pion Warp-kun to warp them out of there, which they do, but his clothes are left behind. Rito and Lala pop out of a locker and are both naked. Rito is shocked by and is in deeper shock when notices Haruna behind him. He tries to find it to explain, but she slaps him instead. Rito disappointedly returns home with Lala and finds Zastin in his living room with Mikan, who had been informed about Rito's engagement with the alien princess. As she gets acquainted with Lala, Rito is in a desperate situation on how to clear this whole misunderstanding. Rito gets Zastin to tell him how to cancel the engagement by saying, "What if?" He explains that he can cancel it within the first 3 days of the engagement by grabbing Lala's breasts again before the time limit of 8:43 a.m. on the final day, so he tries to touch them without being seen. However, he loses every chance he gets, and as he continues to try, something inconvenient gets in his way. On the final day, he has only 1 hour left, so he decides to be more responsible about it and asks Lala to come with him. By a river, Rito talks to Lala about the engagement, which she is very happy about. She explains that she was always getting pushed by her dad into meetings for future husbands candidates, doing things for the sake of the royal throne, and that no one tries to understand how she feels aside from Peak and even Rito, who had to help her escape. After hearing this, Rito is worried about how she would feel about breaking the engagement and doesn't know how to respond. Suddenly, his clock rings, noting his time to cancel, which he is very disappointed about. The next day, Rito is off to school with Zastin and his subordinates Maul and Smuts, congratulating him and Lala on their engagement. At school, he is depressed over the sudden changes in his life, but feels that school is the only place he has any peace. He also wonders what he should do about the situation with Haruna. His homeroom teacher announces a transfer student. The new student turns out to actually be Lala, who just got accepted into Rito's class, much to his shock and grief. Following the previous episode, Rito scolds Lala for transferring to his school all of a sudden. Lala responds that she just wanted to stay close to him. He asks her how was able to get submitted. She said that the principal allowed her because she's cute, to which Rito comments on him being a pervert. He tells her not to stand out too much or get into trouble because it'd be bad if people find out she's an alien. So she promises, but she does weird things in class like drawing pictures in art, overusing her strength in the gym, and causing the boys to resent MC because of how close Lala is to him. Rito scolds Lala again for what she's done, so she again promises to be more careful. Elsewhere, Haruna walks down a hallway thinking about how close Rito is to Lala. She comes across him, and they have an awkward moment outside trying to say something to each other. Thinking about what to say, MC outwardly asks her what she thinks of Lala. She says he and Lala are good together, much to his dismay. Lala then interrupts to bring Rito home. At his house, Rito is still depressed by what Haruna said about him and Lala. Noticing this, Mikan suggests that all three of them go out tomorrow to cheer him and see how Lala isn't familiar Earth yet. The next day, Rito and Mikan show Lala around. Lala is very excited about the interesting sights. Due to her odd dress, she catches the attention of several people. Rito advises her to do something about her clothes, so she has peek scan other people's clothes and transforms them for Lala. After several odd costume changes, they find one that suits her. They continue to show Lala around, visiting a few stores and eating some snacks. Rito even got Lala a raggedy doll that she seems to enjoy a lot, who Rito seems happy to see. While wondering where to go next, Rito notices Lala's clothes are withering away. Due to the amount of costume change earlier, Peak is slowly losing power, and soon her clothes will disappear. Rito and Mikan try to get her someplace to hide, which they do in a lingerie store. Mikan goes off to bring her some clothes. Rito feels relieved that they were able to make it, but is then surprised to find Haruna close by. As the two caught eye, Rito is worried what she might think of him after what happened. Rito and Mikan try to hide the fact that Lala is an alien and that she is from a foreign country, and are showing her around town. The group begins to go see an aquarium, and Lala also invites Haruna to come along. At the aquarium, Lala gets excited and runs around over the tremendous amount of different fishes in. Rito apologizes to Haruna for dragging along. However, she doesn't seem to mind and also apologizes, claiming that she has been bothering them, but Rito denies it, saying, "It's fun having more people." Noticing this, Mikan becomes aware of Rito's feelings for Haruna, and she goes off looking for Lala as an excuse in leaving them two alone together. Rito feels nervous and tries to bring up something interesting to talk about. Just as they are about to head out, Haruna grabs him by the arm. Haruna then reminds Rito what a kind person he is and how he was the only one who changed the water in the plants. On what seemed to be a confession from them both is then interrupted by a flood. Earlier, Lala, who apparently got lost, finds a fish tank and uses Dial to bring out a Devoluke drug, Besriker dilute, to make them more energetic, but causes them to jump out of their tanks, and without water, they will die. So Lala calls on one of the inventions, Water Elephant Kun, to add more water for the fishes and decide to join in as well naked and thus flood the whole place. Lala comes in naked, riding the flash flood on top of a shark to where Rito and Haruna are. As they try to get away, the whole aquarium is then flooded. At the end of the day, everyone heads home, and despite what happened, Haruna says she had fun. The next day, as they go off to school, Rito is seemingly happy now that he has become friendlier. He and Lala come across Haruna on their way. As MC gets closer, he trips and falls on her with his head under her skirt and tries to apologize as she screams and slaps him. Rito is now saddened by what has happened. At a misty lake, Haruna asks Rito what kind of relationship he has with Lala. He claims they have none. Just as he was about to confess, her two huge balloons suddenly inflate his face. The whole thing turned out to be Rito's dream, as he woke up to find Lala naked in his bed again, this time with her melons pressed onto his face. At breakfast, Lala gets overexcited about how warm it is. Zastin then pops in, explaining that as the princess of Devoluke, they'd have some to check for food poisoning, so she would get cold. At school, MC is on the roof feeling depressed when suddenly Zastin comes in out of nowhere, threatening him if he might have second thoughts about his engagement to Lala. Rito, however, denies it. Zastin then tells Rito that his marriage to Lala will make him become the next king of Devoluke. He will have to take part and lead intergalactic wars in expanding or defending his dominion. On both accounts, he imagines himself losing and decides that he doesn't want to go through with that. At home, Mikan prepares dinner for everyone, including Zastin, who, along with Lala, have taken an extreme liking to the food. Lala decides to cook food from Devoluke using whatever she can use in the fridge. However, her cooking skills aren't that good as a result of burning the whole kitchen, along with her dish. She has MC try it, only to nearly die. MC then has an idea to avoid marrying Lala, which is telling her that he won't marry someone who can't cook and that she should just go back to Devoluke. Hurt by this, Lala then flies off into space with Zastin chasing after her. The next day, Rito tries to convince himself that it's better this way, but still feels guilty for what he had said. Much to his surprise, Lala cheerfully shows up at his class and takes him elsewhere. Rito explains how he doesn't want to take part in intergalactic wars, although Lala explains that he doesn't have to if he doesn't want to, and that not even her dad took part in it. Rito is then mad at Zastin for scaring him. Lala states that once they're married, she would stay with him on Earth. She also misinterpreted what he said earlier about loving someone who's good at cooking, so she gathered ingredients from space to cook for him. She prepares herself by having Piki transform into an apron. However, she's still naked underneath, so she puts on a bikini. She gets the ingredients out of her invention, Chili Container Kun, which is bigger on the inside. Haruna, who is searching for them for the two of them, then comes in and asks what's going on. Rito tries to explain the situation, but the huge octopus comes out of Lala's invention and grabs Haruna, who fainted in shock. It fondles her sweet melons. Rito tries to stop it, but is then also grabbed by it along with Lala, who gets the same treatment. Dio comes in to save them but is then stopped by a huge squid that also came out of Lala's invention, who fights the octopus over the two girls. Zastin gets up to fight them, but is stopped again by Giant Lobster, who also came out and fights the octopus and squid. Then a giant worm creature comes in and joins the fight, causing destruction in the school. Rito claims that this is worse than an intergalactic war. A limousine comes in front of the school's Seinen High. To come out of it appears Saki Tenjuin, a popular, rich and beautiful student who is admired by everyone. On her way in, Saki notices Lala, who was trying to stop Bao Bao Doggy, a dog-like robot created by her, from chasing Rito and how much attention she's getting. Saki claims she is the #1 in the whole school, but as the day goes by, she feels that her place is being threatened as Lala keeps getting more attention from the boys by seeing her in gym clothes or something eki, leaving Saki unnoticeable and believing that Lala is trying to provoke her. Planning to prove who is better, Saki has her two classmates or bodyguards, Kujo Rin and Ayako Aya Fujizaki, send a written message from her to Lala, challenging her for the title of Miss Seinen in a swimsuit contest. Outside the school, Saki already has the stage prepared for the contest, and while waiting for Lala, shows off her swimsuit to everyone. Elsewhere, Lala and Piki discuss the message she got with Zastin, who believes it might be an assassination attempt. He asks to see the message, only to find it being chewed by Lala's invention from earlier, Bao Bao Doggy. The Queen's showdown back at the contest, Saki becomes frustrated in waiting for Lala, believing that she forfeits and declares herself the winner. However, some of the audience doesn't seem too happy about it, who her bodyguards to beat up, so her victory won't be satisfied unless she actually beats her. After hearing that Lala has a fiance, Saki comes up with a plan to draw her out. Saki has Aya take Rito hostage by using a crane and takes him to her to touch her breasts and claim hers unless Lala shows up. Rito, however, is not awk with the idea, especially with Haruna watching. Lala then actually shows up, trying to stop Bao Bao from chasing Zastin, with Dio running into Saki causing a lewd position for her and Rito. She yells at Lala for what happened, and her invention rips off Saki's swimsuit, exposing her naked body to everyone. That causes her to run away, followed by Rin and Aya, leaving Lala clueless about what's going on. After school, Aya finds out that Lala might have a serious secret, unaware that she's, in fact, an alien, and reports to Saki, who plans on finding out what the secret is and exposing it as payback for humiliating her earlier. At night, Saki and her bodyguards try to sneak into MC's house to discover Lala's secret. However, they trigger a trap that Zastin had put in beforehand. Both Rin and Aya flee the house, leaving Saki behind. Saki then tries to escape as well, but falls into a trapdoor that is oddly connected to Rito's room. When Lala is about to enter the room, Saki hides under the desk with a camera ready to find out what her secret is, but she accidentally presses a button, which was also installed by Zastin, which ejects the whole room into the sky. Saki, terrified and confused, pops out and asks Lala what's going on. Zastin, Mole, and Smuts each get on a ship to stop the capsule, but Lala, who is tinkering with the controls, accidentally shoots missiles at them and flies off even faster, which causes Saki to fall off the house. Lala jumps out and flies towards Saki to save her, who, despite being deeply touched by it, ends up fainting. The queen's nightmare waking up in the middle of a street, Saki, disoriented, wonders if everything was nothing but a dream. Upon regaining her senses and seeing that she is surrounded by a crowd of men, Seki realizes that she is completely naked due to Lala's Bao Doggy-kun having ripped off again all her clothes while she was unconscious. Embarrassed, Saki blames Lala for her public humiliation and begins to hate her again. Elsewhere, Lala is flying around the city looking for where she dropped Saki. In space, Dio and his subordinates detect something heading towards Earth. Zaston was aware of his arrival and decides to leave the situation to Rito. With this, we end our video. Stay tuned for the next part and watch our other quality contents. Stay safe. Bye.